Do you understand what would happen if a billionaire turned around and said, I'm not going to buy that $300 million yacht? Do you understand what happened? Everybody on that yacht would not have a job. Go back in history and look at the billionaires. They are what developed this country. Without a billionaire, middle class doesn't exist, period.
The middle class is almost going to be extinct because of billionaires.
No, you're wrong. This country gives money away to a country like, I don't know, Syria, all these other countries. We shouldn't be giving any money away.
Stop giving money to Israel.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, no, we should stop giving money to Israel. You're right.
You know what would happen if we stopped giving money to them?
So this guy is advocating for more billionaires and more money to Israel.
What I'm fucking voting for is socialism. And you know something?
What's wrong with socialism?
Everything. So
to build this road.
No, don't tell me libraries and roads are fucking social. Don't tell me that. Venezuela.
Every time someone goes to define socialism, they always define capitalism.
Socialism. It was Facebook when they fucking turned around and censored me.
That's capitalism, yeah.
Why exactly do the poorest Americans defend billionaires? It makes no sense. One of the biggest accomplishments that I think the Republican Party has managed to do over the course of the past 30 years is somehow convince the poorest voting bracket in the United States of America to defend billionaires and defend billion-dollar corporations. In the past 24 hours, I've seen Tammy from Arkansas, Phil from Oklahoma City, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and whatever cesspool in Georgia she's in right now, get on social media and talk about the fact that New York City just elected a socialist mayor in Zoran Mamdani. And all I can think to myself is, why do you care? Secondly, all I can think to myself is you don't actually know what the difference between socialism and democratic socialism is. Because fundamentally, you don't know the difference between socialism and communism. And this again comes down to a big failure of the American education system, but not necessarily the failure of teachers, just the failure of students themselves who refuse to actually seek out information, and they'd rather take it in for about 24 hours, regurgitate it on a test, and then it immediately leaves their brain so they can stare at TikTok more. I guess I'm part of the problem. In the argument of socialism versus democratic socialism, the adjective is very important. Socialism seeks to abolish capitalism, but democratic socialism seeks to take capitalism and just tax the rich more and tax corporations more so that the wealth can be more evenly distributed. The adjective in democratic socialism is very important. It's sort of like me saying, I'm a white male. No, I'm not. I'm an Asian male. But the adjective Asian in Asian male is very important. It's entirely possible that while you were watching Fox News, listening to a conservative podcast, or you saw some X post, that you now believe that if democratic socialism is put into place, the billionaires in New York City are going to leave. First thing I want you to do is research every single other modern developed country and see what their individual progressive tax rates are for the richest individuals in their country, and get back to me on if it is higher than the United States. I'll wait. The second thing I want you to do is look at progressive tax rates for the biggest corporations in major cities throughout the rest of the world and see if they're higher than the United States. I'll wait. The United States has the 5th highest wealth inequality in the world. But the biggest question I often ask myself when I see these arguments that billionaires are going to leave New York City is, why do you care? Like, it's not going to happen, but in the end, why do you actually care if billionaires leave New York City? And maybe ask yourself the question, why do you so passionately defend billionaires rather than defending the people who need the money the most? And maybe also ask yourself, why are you so concerned with New York City when the big, beautiful budget bill basically goes against everything that Donald Trump said he was going to do, and it actually hurts you and helps billionaires even more? Also, for everybody who is saying they're not coming to New York City, great. We don't really want you in your size 40 below the knee cargo shorts, wearing Crocs, walking down the street, clogging up our sidewalks while we're trying to get to work ass here anyways. Oh, and one more thing. To all the men who are going in my comment section and talking about how I use a filter, I'm just going to show you that this is me without a filter. This is me with the filter, without the filter. It's called SPF. Use it.
Robert Wright just pointed out one of the best examples of hypocrisy in our entire political system. It's the perfect example as to why Americans' priorities have been completely twisted. A lot of Republicans call Medicare for all, Social Security, debt-free education, and universal child care socialism, but they don't have any problem with a $1 trillion tax cut for the richest 1%. They just say, that's just how it is. In this country, we have socialism for the rich, and then brutal capitalism for the rest of us. That's a major problem, and that's one of the main reasons why the working class is struggling the way it is. That's the game these rich people play. When everyday people ask for health care, child care, or education, they scream that it's socialism like it's some sort of bad word. However, they have absolutely no problem with billionaires and massive corporations receiving tax cuts because that's just how it is, guys. Don't worry about it. The truth is, programs like Medicare, Social Security, and public educations are forms of collective investment, and they've been some of the most successful and popular programs in U.S. history. But politicians and people like Donald Trump will turn around and tell us that we can't afford these programs and that these programs are destroying us, all while giving trillions of dollars to the wealthiest 1%.
As one of the only people in this body who has lived off of tips, I want to tell you a little bit about the scam of that text, a little bit of the fine print there. The cap on that is $25,000. While you're jacking up taxes on people who make less than $50,000 across the United States, while taking away their SNAP, while taking away their Medicaid, while kicking them off of the ACA and their health care extensions. So if you're at home and you're living off tips, you do the math. Is that worth it to you? Losing all your health care, not able to feed your babies, not being able to put a diaper on their bottom in exchange for what? This bill is a deal with the devil. It explodes our national debt. It militarizes our entire economy, and it strips away health care and basic dignity of the American people. For what? To give Elon Musk a tax break and billionaires the greedy taking of our nation. We cannot stand for it, and we will not support it. You should be ashamed.
If you defend billionaires, you don't know how much 1 billion is. You don't understand how big that number is, and that's okay. The human brain literally can't comprehend numbers that big. But to put it into perspective, 1 million seconds is about 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. Most of us haven't even been alive for 1 billion seconds. If you were to stack $100 bills to make 1 million, it would be about 3.5 feet tall. If you were to stack $100 bills to make 1 billion, it would be taller than the tallest building in the world. Over 3,000 feet tall. If you deposited $100 into a bank account every single day from the birth of Jesus Christ until now, you wouldn't even have 1/10 of a billion. In fact, if you were to make $100 every single day, it would take you over 27,000 years to get to 1 billion. Over 27,000 years. That's longer than all of recorded human history. You spent $10,000 every single day. Every single day you woke up and spent $10,000. It would take you 274 years to spend 1 billion, even if you spent $10,000 every single day of your life. The difference between 1 million and 1 billion is just about a billion. And I don't think people understand that. You can work hard and become a millionaire. There is absolutely no way to become a billionaire without exploiting somebody.
It seems like I loved Zoran Mamdani's policies when he was campaigning for New York mayor. But now, it seems like he is caving in for billionaires. If you follow the news or if you watch keenly, it's like he is caving in. Why? Someone is campaigning. He has good agenda, good policies for this country. But maybe once he is elected, he has to toe the line. What's happening in this country? Someone is good, their policies are good. We say, yay, let's elect them. But once they are there, they become sold. What's happening in this country?
So people always talk about how the rich never pay their fair share, but how exactly do they get away with it? Well, the most common trick is called buy, borrow, die. Step 1 is straightforward. They buy assets like stocks that go up in value over time. So let's say Jeff Bezos buys $1 billion of stocks and his stocks are going up each year. Now this part is critical to understand. He will never have to pay taxes on the money he made from his stocks going up as long as he never sells his stocks. The idea is that stocks are just pieces of paper that he can't actually use to buy anything in real life, so the government only taxes him once he sells these pieces of paper to pocket the cash he made. But what's the point of putting $1 billion into stocks if you never actually sell it and use the money you made? Well, that's where step 2, borrowing, comes into play. Let's say Jeff Bezos wants to spend $100 million on fixing up his poor rusty yacht collection. Well, if he sells $100 million of his stocks, he'd have to pay 20% capital gains tax or $20 million. So to avoid this, he just takes out a $100 million loan and spends that instead. It sounds so counterintuitive to borrow this money when you're already so rich and you could have this cash on hand, but with the special type of loans that Jeff can get, it actually makes total sense, and here's why. Jeff goes to the bank and says, hey, I want you to give me a $100 million loan loan with really great terms, but by the way, I have $1 billion stock portfolio, so if you ever don't think I'll pay you back, then you can just take from that. To the bank, this is actually a really great deal because the $1 billion stock portfolio that Jeff Bezos is offering as collateral is worth way more than the $100 million loan. So the bank can sleep easy at night knowing that Jeff will be able to pay them back. And the bank rolls out the red carpet for Bezos with special privileges to keep him as a client. To start, Jeff has no deadline to ever pay off the principal on the $100 million loan. He does have to pay interest on it, but as long as he keeps paying interest, he's never required to pay back the $100 million itself by any certain time. It sounds crazy, but because the bank knows that they can get the money back from Jeff, they don't have to get it back anytime soon, and they'd rather just keep charging him interest. But that's the other thing. The interest rate that $6 million practically out of thin air for doing nothing other than just being super rich Jeff Bezos who gets super great deals on loans. But that's not all. The $5 million a year that Jeff Bezos spends on those interest payments are also typically tax deductible, so he pays even less taxes. So to sum this up, by taking this loan, Jeff got the $100 million to spend on his yachts, avoided having to pay $20 million of capital gains tax had he sold his stocks, is now netting an extra $6 million a year from not having to sell his stocks, and got a tax deduction of $5 million a year. But that's not all, because there's still step 3. Once Jeff Bezos passes away, let's say his son Preston inherits his stock portfolio. Well, the government acts as if his son got the stock portfolio brand new with no capital gains. If the original $1 billion stock portfolio grows to $5 billion by the time Jeff Bezos passes away, then he would have $4 billion worth of capital gains that he would have to pay tax on. But when he passes this portfolio onto his son gets it on a stepped up basis where it's basically like a brand new $5 billion portfolio with $0 of capital gains, so his son doesn't owe any tax. So throughout the entire process, Jeff and his family avoided paying a single dime of capital gains tax.
Every single time that I talk about taxing rich people fairly, my comments are filled with people saying, do you really think a billionaire has $1 billion? You can't tax their income because it's not actually income. It's all in the stock market. I know, sweetheart. I know that. I'm not saying we should raise the personal income tax rate on these rich people because I know that that wouldn't work. You can do it for fun, but they're just going to find another way around it. What I'm saying is that you should not be able to claim that you don't have that money enough to not pay income tax on it, but then also turn around and use those stocks and that equity as leverage to take out loans that you can go spend on other things. Do you have it or do you not? I think that if you are worth over a certain amount of money, you should not be able to take out loans against your assets if you have not paid taxes on them. These people fund the majority of their lifestyle on assets that they claim are not theirs so that they don't have to pay tax on it. That's what's wrong with the system. And to the people who compare it to like a HELOC, taking out a loan against the value of your house, you pay taxes on your house. You pay property tax on your house, and you pay tax on it when you bought it. That's also assuming that you already have a house or other assets, which is not the reality for a lot of people. So still, it's only available to some people. So it's not the same, and I'm so tired of regular people pretending that the magnitude of the very few tax advantages that we are able to access are even remotely comparable to those of rich people in this country. And I'm tired of the working class people in my comment section standing 10 toes down for billionaires who don't give a fuck about you. They're standing at the top of the mountain watching you struggle from their penthouse while they lobby your elected representatives to continue giving them and their companies tax breaks that they don't need, hoarding 99% of the fucking wealth in this country, and you're taking time out of your day to defend them in my comments. I need these people to wake the fuck up and realize that the ultra wealthy are a minority in society, yet somehow all of our policies are catered to them and not to the majority who is the working class.
Trump is proposing to cut over $1 billion to WIC. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children. It's a program that provides nutrition education, breastfeeding support, and healthy food to low-income, pregnant women, new moms, and young kids at nutritional risk. But the president in his new budget wants to cut the program, including almost 70% of the fruit and vegetable benefits for over 5 million families. Under the proposal, breastfeeding mothers would see their benefits drop from $52 to just $13 a month. And kids under 5 would go from $26 to just $10 a month for fruits and vegetables. That's like a carton and a half of strawberries. If the billions in proposed SNAP and Medicaid cuts weren't already enough to raise alarm, and you're still clinging to the belief that this is about fraud prevention or budget efficiency, let this be the moment that opens your eyes. Because while they claim that those cuts are just about waste and only targeting people who can work, which is objectively untrue, these cuts directly take fruits and vegetables away from infants, toddlers, and new moms. This administration says that they want to make America healthy again and solve the childhood chronic disease crisis, but here they are taking away vital support for the most nutritionally at-risk children in this country. These cuts aren't about efficiency, they're not about fraud, and they're certainly not about improving our children's health. WIC is one of the most effective, science-backed, health-promoting public health programs that we have. Cutting it is irresponsible, it's cruel, and it absolutely will not make our children healthier.
In the 1970s, 40% of American workforce was unionized. And the middle class controlled 22% of the wealth. Now, the middle class controls almost 6% of the wealth, and only 10% of American workers are unionized. More unions means better pay, better hospitals, better schools, name them. But billionaires hate unions, and Trump and other MAGA Republicans help them crash our unions. Lindsey Graham in 2016 said, in quotes, "If we vote for Trump, we will have destroyed ourselves and we will have deserved it." End of quote. Maybe I should probably change the title of this video, like Americans discover democratic socialism is good. Too late. Tell me your thoughts.
I am a democratic socialist.
What does he say he is?
A democratic socialist.
You decide you're going to start a lemonade stand, and you go to the store, you buy all the supplies, you set your own price, and whatever profits you make, you get to keep. Which economic system is that?
Capitalism.
Yes, capitalism, owned by the individual, operated by the individual. If the government owns the lemonade stand, the government sets the price, the government tells you exactly which products you have to use, and the government divvies out the money between everybody in our neighborhood. Which is that one?
Communism?
Yep. You own your lemonade stand, you go buy all your supplies, but there's several other people in the block and in the area that also want to own a lemonade stand, and they go buy their supplies and set their price. But then all of you together decide that the profits you make, you're going to pay taxes, you're going to share some of your profits so that you can have free lunches for the kids at your school. What economic system is that? Social democracy. Yes.
Democracy.
And people that believe in that system are called democratic socialists. So in the United States, we have a capitalist economy. People can own their own businesses. People can work for people who own their own businesses. We all pay taxes. And those taxes are supposed to go to programs that help everyone. What are some programs that in the United States we use that are part of social democracy?
Schools, roads, bridges, parks, cities,
libraries, police departments,
fire departments, churches.
No, that's a whole other video. Why are people so freaked out that Mamdani won and that he says he is a democratic socialist?
He says he's going to tax the 1% richest people in New York by 1% and give free transportation and that stuff.
He wants to set up programs in New York that make living there more affordable. So we agree, there's no one perfect system, but a combination where everybody pays their fair share could make society a better place.
Yeah.
The only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured. by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom.
So someone might ask me, teacher or a professor, why do Americans hate socialism? And the answer is very clear. They have been programmed to hate socialism. Why? CIA, our military. Whenever a country tries to impose socialism in their country and they see some results, billionaires influence our government to conduct coups there, to conduct assassinations there, to destabilize the government there through sanctions, so that Americans cannot open their eyes to socialism working. But in the real sense, it works. It was working in Libya. It was working in Venezuela. It is working in Norway. What we have in common with these countries, we have abundant natural resources, but ours are controlled by a select few. They are pumping drugs into our poor black and white neighborhoods. They are poisoning our foods so that we can be obese and diabetic. They are raising our rent and mortgages so that we can be homeless. They are poisoning our water sources from these mega farms of theirs or from these industries of theirs. You know what that is? So that they can make us imbecile. And whenever we are suffering, they can find something to blame on for our misfortunes. Capitalist elites of the West, the oligarchs of Russia, the Politburo of China are all the same. The only difference is the mode of operation. Ours use lobbyists, theirs are direct. So why are we pretending under the disguise of democracy and free markets? Many Americans are being priced out of their houses. Many Americans are being priced out of car ownerships. Many Americans are being priced out of healthy food. Many Americans are being priced out of their health insurance. Many Americans are being priced out of clean water. And soon, many Americans will be priced out of this country and probably move overseas. So, to the poor majority, wake up. You are on your own. So, what is going on is not an indication, but a declaration that we should never elect a Republican president again in this country in the future and indefinitely. So I'm under to everyone standing against Trump and his capitalist elites. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. So I'm talk blue, watch blue, listen blue, vote blue, and until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.